Generally, what we do is weather forecasting for the renewable energy industry. So we take weather data and convert it to how much solar and wind production is going to be produced in the United States markets. And then we provide that energy to different players in the industry. Most of them are energy traders.
Like regarding the funding, you mainly receive money from the government or from private investors?
Yeah, so we received so the National Science Foundation, which is the big agency in the US, they gave us a $250,000 non-dilutive grant to basically do research for improving power grids. So for the first year, that's how we've been funding ourselves. Basically, everything we have is in the cloud on Amazon Web, and it costs us $20 a month to run all the models. So basically that money was for us to buy a few things and pay ourselves like a salary. And then, right, so that grant actually ended today. So we have 7 customers, or no, 9 users, 7 customers, 7 contracts signed. We start releasing the data in February. And so that's kind of what's keeping us afloat right now. But with that National Science Foundation grant, there's 2 phases, phase 1, phase 2. We just finished phase 1. Phase 2 is a $2 million non-dilutive grant. And so we'll apply for that at the end of the month. And if you get phase 1, you typically get phase 2 if the project goes well. And so our project, we developed the tool, kind of could show that we could improve weather forecasting throughout the US. So that's how we plan to kind of fundraise. We're hoping not to take VC money or angel investing at this point. And we're trying to bootstrap. If we don't get that phase 2, we'll probably have to expand our team, but and raise some money. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
Cool. Thanks.
Going way back, I've always really been interested in environmental science and math. And so when I went into undergrad, I was a math major in environmental science. I actually started out as an art major and business major. Like I had no idea what I was doing, and I was switching around kind of a lot, but somehow I ended up at math and environmental science. And I had no idea what I was going to do with it. Always I've been kind of entrepreneur. Like I always was like the neighborhood dog walker and shoveling the snow. So I always had like little side gigs going, but had no idea what I was going to do with my major. I really liked being outside and like being out in the mountains. So that's why I did environmental science. And there's kind of a weather component to it. It seems like the natural way. So in undergrad, I did a lot of field experiments and that kind of work. I'm just trying to get outside. And then when I graduated, it seemed like all the jobs wanted my math skills. And so I went it was like a medical care. It was like some IT medical company. And I was bored out of my mind. Like I was doing like kind of math, but not really. Like I liked the math, but like in the job, it was basically like troubleshooting printers for hospitals, and it paid really well, but I was just so bored. And so I quit that job in after like 4 months or something. I didn't last very long, even though it was like a great job. And after that, I got it was like a startup or a small company doing like satellite engineering kind of modeling. And basically my job was to do model like how satellites go around the earth. I knew nothing about satellites, but like from a mathematical point of view, like you can go into lots of problems. And it was so I was there for like 7 months. I told them I was going to go to grad school. And I learned a lot, like how to program there and kind of like how do you build like a physics-based model and represent it in like computer simulations. And so then I went to grad school and I was environmental fluid mechanics. Again, I kind of went to grad school just because I didn't know what I was doing with my life. And I had a really good undergrad professor who kind of, you should go to, you're good at this, like, see how you'll like it. So that's where I met my co-founder Daniel. With it, like I think the first week of school, we met and we should start a company. And so both of us were like, we're going to drop out of school, start a company. But we were both liking what we were doing. So it was like environmental fluid mechanics, which is basically like how the ocean atmosphere, like how do you model this? And was doing a lot of like AI, statistical modeling, probability. So we were having fun. It was like pretty relaxed. And so grad school was a good time for us to test ideas. So our first company was like we did like t-shirt. We were trying to sell t-shirts, and it was a disaster. But we like officially launched our company, and we're like making designs and selling t-shirts and putting them on mugs and things. And no one really wanted them, but it was like a good experience in the sense that like we kind of learned how like social media works and how to like build a network, and just like it's good to just fail miserably and be like, oh, it's like actually harder to start a business than you think. So then like we tried.
What kind of t-shirts, like just for curiosity, like about the environment or?
No, they were like I'm trying to think how to even they were just like weird logos that we came up with. They were terrible. No one was buying them for a reason. I'm trying to, yeah, I can't really remember what they were. They were stupid though. It was a terrible company. But we thought it was a good idea at the time. And then we tried to make like an app that was like a self-help app, like a kind of like, here's my goals, and it just kind of checked in with you to like, did you run your 5 kilometers today? Yes or no? And it kind of was like a positive feedback. And that was also really stupid, didn't work, and failed miserably. But luckily, so we were in school at the time though, so it's like a good place to test ideas and fail, because like you're a student, and if you fail, it doesn't really matter. So we did that for a little bit, didn't work out. And then like I had graduated, Daniel was still in school, and then we kind of got serious. Like, we should actually use, like, we're doing all this PhD research. We should actually use what we're doing and try to like apply that to our company, not make like a t-shirt company. So we kind of took our research, and initially it was like, okay, we can improve weather models, environmental models. Where does this fit into the industry? And we interviewed, I think, like 100 people. And everyone was kind of like, yeah, like a better weather model, definitely better. We'll buy it. And we're getting all kinds of positive feedback. So like we build this weather model that's better, and then we go sell it, and everyone's like, no, we don't want better weather. Like we want energy production. Or what? Like you told us like 2 months ago that you want better weather data. And so then we had to kind of pivot again. And then people were like, we just want like system-wide energy production. So like how much energy is Texas going to be produced today? So we went back, built, we converted the weather into energy. Also, like originally they told us they only want like 1 to 6 hours ahead, like a 6-hour forecast. But then like everyone was like, you need a 48-hour forecast at least, or you're useless. So we kind of had to expand the time horizon, change the product a little bit. Went back, and so at this point, yeah, it's like over 100 people we've talked to. We built this like energy production forecast for the system of Texas, and everyone was like, no, like you need to go down to like the wind farm level. So like nobody bought that. And then in February, like now we've done over 200 interviews. We know what people want. And we have a product that people want. And so that's like that wind farm level forecast that I was kind of talking about.
Who are like those people, like engineers or like like managers or like business people? And how did you access to them? Just like cold emails or?
Yeah, mostly, so both. Anyone who would talk to us. Basically, for the first time, I started using LinkedIn about a year ago. That's been really effective. And so I just like spam people, basically do what you're not supposed to do on LinkedIn, be like, do you want to check this out? And got a lot of feedback very quick. Also, so when starting, I've noticed it's a little bit different now. So when I started, it was like a student. So if you're a student, that's a really good, people want to talk to students. So like, I'm a student, I'm trying to learn, I'm working on this project, like, you want to help me out? And people are like, yes. And then like you try to sell something, like I have a product that, I'm trying to sell you. It's like, no, like I'm not talking to you, I'm not responding to you. So definitely use that student classification as like I'm just trying to learn, because people are very generous. I found, like, if you just kind of want to talk, want to learn, once you try to start selling things to people, they put their guard up, obviously. And I do the same. Like if someone tries to sell me something, it's like, no way, go away. so that's been an interesting process, but we do have like a very clear very clear customer profile now. After all these interviews, I think we kind of have a product now that people like, we know who wants it and who the people are. And so that was just like a lot of iterations, but we failed a lot of times and kind of had to keep pivoting our technology, or it's the same core technology. We had to pivot how it was marketed. And so it's just me and one other guy right now, Daniel. And so
how much time like did you need to go from like the idea to have an actual prototype and win the grant?
Okay, so let's see. So when I was a grad student, we applied to 2 grants. They both got rejected. And then in January 2021, I quit my job. Daniel graduated. So I worked for a year after grad school. I quit my job and we're doing this 100%. And that's terrifying. When you start the company, because we both had nothing else, like we just went 100% in. Like the first month of that is, you don't really know what you're doing. It's like, what do we do? Like we have this technology, and you can have the best technology. It can be the cheapest, fastest. That's like selling it is not easy, even if you have the best product, because I think we do probably have the best product, just from our feedback, but like selling it is a whole different game. And it's, you gotta really figure out like what people want. And the people who are using the product are not necessarily the people who are buying the product, and their motivations are often quite different. And so like you have to figure out, like you have to make a product that people want, that the users want, but then you also have to like be able to tell people, like the purchasers, why they're going to use it, and just telling them it's like the best. Like we had all kinds of metrics. Like I'm a mathematician by trade. I had all kinds of metrics. Like we're the best. Look at us compared to all the other vendors. And they're like, no, like we don't believe you. Like,
my story is way less cool than Thomas, and I do way less maths and predictions. But yeah, what I do is I'm co-founder of Retail Personal Data. What we do is make data work for everyone. Basically, we help users first to understand, understand and control their data. You connect your Google account in our app, and we show you what they have about you, which company has it, how much they earn out of it, and we allow you to remove it really fast from their databases, or at least ask to do it through the GDPR. And then what we are working now is the next steps in say, okay, you can see it and then you can remove it from companies, but we want also you to share it with those you love. And companies are really want a lot of data, but they can't really talk to customers because they can't earn their trust. And so actually they are really ready to give rewards to those loyal to them. You know, okay, we can be private access to a new feature. It can be a more customized experience. It can be some discounts, or it can be just pure money. This is a bit what we do. We are based in Amsterdam, a team of 6 people, 6 different nationalities. I'm from, of course, Genoa, Italy, and then the rest is Belgium, Lithuania, Brazil, Kazakhstan, Iran.
How did you like meet each other?
The Lithuanian was living in Genoa. Then the other one, my co-founder, which is from Antwerp in Belgium, we were studying together. And then the other one's through LinkedIn. And then we just raised 1 million euros in equity. Last December, we announced it recently. We have 55,000 users and growing. Yeah, and then we are onboarding the first, let's say, companies. I cannot tell too many names, but I'd say 6 or 7 in if you are in the startup scene, you know, generally scale-ups or bigger brands, which are really, let's say, to pay, and they have the money to do so, and they are direct to consumers. The thing probably which is fascinating about our story is that we are both non-technical co-founders, which I guess here is not the case. It will never be in code for no one, but for us, it was quite the challenge. And as I'm sure you know how much the business struggle to talk to technical people, no? And let's say.
So basically, like to develop the app, you reached out to like developers with LinkedIn, or?
No, first we started on Fiverr, really bad.
Okay.
So Pakistan, people from really India, Pakistan, and our
Okay,
technology, actually it's quite hard because we can't access the data ourselves, and we cannot see it unless you actually really share it with us, because we store it on your phone. And this is not easy to be done, you know, and to connect to Google and get it directly without us seeing it's quite hard. So we're struggling, you know, with really low quality developers. And then
just to have an idea, how much did it cost to get the first prototype, like the first app version?
Yeah, the first, let's say, we launched with 20,000 euros.
Okay, and how did you start, like bootstrapping or?
Yeah, bootstrapping.
Okay. But like you were like both students.
Both students.
Right?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
We made quite some money. We had some business on the side, like Thomas, and we saved a lot of money. My co-founder invested in crypto early on, so it was quite okay for him. And I had a lot of business on the side. And so yeah, we launched while we were starting, and then that's the reason also why I created, let's say, the Genoa Entrepreneurship School, and how I involved Thomas, because I saw, and I think everyone here can recognize that the university in general, not only Europe but all over the world, still miss a bit of support to founders. No, there is still a system of way more people want to create a company, and still their, let's say, goal of a university and what push people to is getting good grades most of the time.
Yeah, mainly academia, just maybe to continue with a PhD or.
Exactly. You know, they want to become an academician person, a researcher. In the US, a bit less, I guess, in particular in the West Coast, but in Italy or everywhere, it's like they're making a different work on a different path. And of course, there is way more now. It's growing a lot, the entrepreneurship all over the world. It's not only in California, and people want to create their own startup at our generation, let's say. And so I said, okay, you know, this is a really big problem. I think a lot of people will see it. So I involved the University of Georgetown, who was really happy to jump in and do this pilot project, which is, let's say, a test to then open a campus in Genoa, and where we mix the, let's say, academia part, the industry, so founders and investors, and the physical place when you can develop your own startup. And we are, then the course will be from the 20th of June to the 15th of July. And the good part, I think, and Thomas is a really great example, is that we mix young founders, old investors, or experienced. Like there is another unicorn founder of Unicorn, which is John Berger, which is like they have a 2 billion company listed on the New York Stock Exchange, was also joining, you know, and so we can actually give the whole path from really low level of just started, young, talented. Also, Thomas didn't tell you, but he's 30 under 30 energy in the US, right? Because he's humble, but I can tell you for the startup he created. So young, talented team plus experienced one, and we love to mix the US and EU approach, you know, because sometimes the US, let's say, it's better to do startups than the European market, but there is some complexity in European laws, way of doing business. It's quite different. So we really wanted to bring this mixture of cultures and way of doing businesses, and to attract the most international people possible, to have you know, an hybrid community. And so basically in this accelerator is equity free also of charge. You will have a demo day at the end when you can present your idea. And yeah, there are 3 main sectors, all with a key of sustainability: logistics, retail, and energy, of course. Yeah.
And like the next years is going to be also like in Georgetown, or it's going to be every year in Genoa?
Let's see. It's the first time pilot. Maybe we can do also, where maybe to touch upon where Eric and I met, is Silicon Valley study tour, where we both went to Silicon Valley to visit like the biggest tech companies there. Maybe we can make the Washington DC tour one day, or sometime soon.
So how many accelerators are in Europe right now. Is that a common thing?
No, I think we have some school accelerator in the Italian market. I think the Bocconi is doing one. I think it's not really international, they're all Italian. And unfortunately, the Italian market yet has not developed the, let's say, the deep knowledge that maybe the US markets can have, you know. This is a bit the issue in the sense, if you all come from the same country and it's not that big and it's not that startup oriented, it's not the best. But I would say in Europe we have some. I guess we have the American brands like Techstars, Startup Bootcamp, who went in Europe, came here in Europe to a bit harvest the money and, you know, exploit the brand. But I would say it's far from being, you know, you guys level. Even if at yours you're not happy with, I would say, yeah, it's by far better than any continental.
You go to an acceleration program at the beginning or not?
No, I skipped it. Okay. Because we were already in school, so we already, let's say, and the point is, like, usually accelerator programs, what they provide is business insights to technical people, and we couldn't build the product, right?
Okay.
We were there and say, okay, guys, we know the theory, we know how, maybe a bit better than an engineer, how to run an Excel sheet or the accounting runway. And so, okay, we said, you know, we don't have the time. Let's skip it also, because they won't accept us as a founder, you know. And then the all technical people are employees and not founders, so that would have been a great barrier for us.
Okay. So when did you decide to go from like employees instead of continuing with I don't know, like low quality engineers from?
I think because the problem was that we were fearing of no one jumping in. You know, we said, no one will join us. We can't find in our networks. At one point, he said, we are so desperate. I said, okay, let's put a LinkedIn ad. And then a friend of ours connected me through our actually Lithuanian developer. So was luck. And then I would say after summer, after almost 1 year of development through a bad engineer, we said, okay, this is not going to move. This doesn't work. And said, okay, we need to look around, jump on a LinkedIn. Maybe we got also a technical advisor. I think has been really key to us. And I think for you guys, having a business advisor will be amazing, because it gives you a different perspective. You know, usually tech people and business people think completely differently, and they can help you show the way how, you know, a business person knows and want what they want, right? So for us, has been extremely helpful. Let's say it was a role between tech and business, so you could reach a bit. And we struggled a bit not having a CTO for quite some time. Actually, we still don't have it, but the group of the 3 developers we hired are really good on collaborating among themselves. So we found a kind of way through.
And they are like all remote, I guess.
No, one is in person now with us in Amsterdam, and the other 2, since are from Kazakhstan and Brazil, we are arranging the visas to make them come together. But we are again strong believers to in person. We also felt from coming from remote environment from COVID to in person in office, thanks to the funding, completely different energy, way faster, you get along way better. To us was really a great experience. I can understand for the US, the salaries, no, it's an issue in California. It's, you know, you pay really I think when we were there, I remember they were saying,
it was crazy.
We're below 120, it's poverty, you know, 120K is poverty. And in Europe, it's pretty different. So the cost of living are different. And this in the end can play a good advantage for European companies, at least at first.
I'll say we went in person too. It's so much better to be in person, you know, you can move so much faster. And we got a business advisor as well to kind of, you know, balance us out. This made all the difference, you know, just to have someone be like, you're stupid, you don't know anything about business, like do it this way. And we usually defer to him.
Did you give him like equity or?
Yeah, so he I think he has 2.5% or something like that. Yeah.
We were a bit more greedy and we gave him 0.4 on that tech advisor, but we got, let's say, I think what I can advise to everyone in the room to do is, since everyone here is pretty young, and most of the times we don't have a reputation. It was also our case, I'm 23 still. And when we started a company, I was 22. Right out of school, of course, some internships in good companies, but you're no one, right? You're a kid to the investors. Mm-hmm. So I think a good board of advisors is worth the time. The advice, but also the branding, and if they're coming from good companies and good roles, to the eyes of DC, to the eyes of a customer, to the eyes of the other employees. I think successful and experienced guys on your side when you're young, I think for us has been quite the help, in the end, they're really, again, as Thomas said, everyone joining, are really eager to help young guys, maybe students. They love what you're doing. In the end, I think, to me, it's worth all the equity we gave out, which is, in the end, we allocated 10% for advisors and employees, mm-hmm. which in general is not too high, but I would say it's still quite some money, right? And I think it's all deserve it and worth it. You're happy to spend it in the end.
Can you talk about your when you raised money? How did that process work, and was that fun, miserable, super stressful? Like,
yeah, definitely. I had even a tough fundraising because, let's say, we started in June. Bad idea to start in the summer. We thought, okay, it will be slightly slower, but in the end, it's all about the fear of missing out. No, and one VC still really local in the end. You think everyone is global now with Zoom, thinks all the global opportunity, but in the end, it still works that you should bring someone for a place and they talk each other at dinner. Maybe when they meet, say, hey, startup like Rita, startup like that. Did you hear about it? They heard the deal is good, and everyone joins in. So I think that was the key learning. And then we started I think from June, we got like over 500K committed already. But the problem is we ended up in December. No one who committed in June was ending in December. So we did kind of 2 fundraisings. Mm-hmm. And we got some issues with evaluation, and investors would just drop out like out of the blue at the end. But I think that happened. So I would say if you can go with a grant, 2 million, no one is asking you anything, go for it. I think an angel can be good because in the end they are more eager to help. Rather than VC, they have more structure. Structure. They need you to deliver in certain time frames. An angel in the end is doing it for money, but also for passion. So usually they understand the business way better, unless you have a really focused VC on you. So mm-hmm. I would advise go at least the first round with all angels if you can, or
right.
On the second side, I think on our case is a bit strange because our market in the end is competing against the data brokers and on how the internet and data marketplace work. So if they buy us, it's not that we achieved our mission, they just turned us off, no? So we wanted to go till the end. Let's see, of course, how it goes, right? If we reach the end, there is an APO. But for sure, our business, it's not a SaaS. We will make money probably in 5-10 years, not before for sure. So indeed, it's been quite slow. I think we launched 1 year ago, and usually some companies go really fast, no? Or our SaaS, which you get a customer, it's really hard, to drop him off and they write you big checks. And I think we're not there yet. And in particular, in our market, there is a really big competition. How many competitors do you have? Do you have any startup level one or?
Maybe one startup level one. That's what when we were talking to people, everyone had the same problem. Like the weather forecasting is terrible. The problem is people also have unrealistic expectations that like you can get the weather like a month from now, like how much what the wind speed will be a month from now. Like, so there is like the expectations are too high, but it's definitely an area of frustration. So that's kind of where we found like, we can make it a little bit better than what it is now. And people are looking for something new and fresh. So we've had good traction so far and very positive feedback from it's a small group of people, right? We're never going to get 55,000 users just because there's not that many people, but maybe we could get 100 people, kind of what we're doing right now. And so we've already got 7 and have a few more people on trial. So within 2 months, we're almost at 10% of the market in the US. So.
And what about the actually producers of energy? Surprised me, they're not that interested as like the financial traders. Is there a reason? Maybe is it your product is focused more on a part of the market, or? One,
there is a degree of technical skill required to use our product right now. We don't have nice visuals. It's all API. So you have to be able to use that. And typically like the utilities and producers just don't have maybe have one technical staff who could use this data, and their incentives are a little bit different. So like traders are trying to make as much money as they can. Utilities are just trying to not lose big. And so they're kind of fine just doing what they've been doing for the last 25 years, as long as they don't lose really big and just lose a little bit, that's fine. It's publicly funded. So their incentive is just to make sure the power goes on for when you flip the switch, not to make a ton of money.
So they're not ready to pay also, I guess, right?
Also, and their acquisition cycle, it takes like a year and a half. It's so slow. So we are working with the utility right now, but and I think they will buy. It's just so much slower than like a trader where we can like in 2 weeks, get the sale.
Definitely.
So right now we're mostly focused on these traders.
And what do you envision to come to Europe as well? Or because I think the weather forecast is the geography of Europe quite complex, no? Also for weather forecasts. You have the Alps here and then the sea is really close.
So that's perfect for the way we're doing it with the AI. That means it's hard to model all that, but the airs are going to be quite predictable. Like near the sea, it's going to be temperature's always going to be too low or something like that. So yes, we're almost pretty stable, just like the two of us. So once we get that, and that'll be probably part of our phase 2 to go global, because it's very scalable. Like to do one site in Texas is basically the same as to do the whole world. So from a computational point of view, I mean, it's more data, but it doesn't really take any time. It's just like make a for loop and pop, do every site opposed to a few. So we will go. The problem with the European, like the US markets, especially Texas, as you could kind of expect, it's like the Wild West where like it's not as regulated, which means it's more volatile. Europe is more regulated, so there's actually less
less money to be made. Okay.
Yeah, which is good, and I mean it's good for if you're trying to make money. It's terrible for like a stable grid. Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely a technical experience. It's not as learnable as business. Business sense is another story.
Did you learn a bit in the meanwhile? No.
Sorry?
Did you learn a bit in the meanwhile?
Yeah, I spent that summer before we got the developer in September. I was so frustrated. I said, I'm gonna start myself. Spend the whole summer coding on Ruby on Rails. I said, okay, I'm gonna build my own. Luckily, the summer was useless, but I know a bit of Ruby and I know how coding works. But no, for sure, for your technical expertise is, I think it's feasible also in the market. Everyone wants it. Everyone needs it. I think, as Thomas said, everyone wanted him like as a mathematician, not even as an engineer. I think what you guys have, it's like not a gift, because in the end you work hard for it, but being passionate about numbers and being capable of doing like coding, it's something that will really be jealous to have it as a natural.
Yeah, getting your hands dirty in this engineering stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only issue I would say for technical people is to focus a bit more on the business, because you guys really love solving hard problems and complex ones, which is cool sometimes, but sometimes the solution might be easier.
So on our end, definitely not our idea. We were talking to all kinds of people, and we basically let like the market decide what they wanted. because like realistically, we're all still young. We have no idea, like we have no real world experience really. We don't really know what people want. So what you think people want is usually not what they want. And they want something a lot simpler. So that's, for us, is like, I never assume anything. You can always ask stupid questions, and it's good to be stupid because when you're stupid, people want to help you. And so it's really good to ask stupid questions because they're like, look at this kid, like he doesn't know anything. I need to help him. And that's been a really valuable process for us. Just like I ask stupid questions all the time, and I've really realized I know nothing. So I don't assume anything, and I just kind of let people tell me what they want. And then the problem is for us, everyone wants something else different, like everybody. So it's kind of figuring out like in the Venn diagram where the overlap is and where a lot of people want certain things. But so it wasn't my idea. I just asked a lot of people what they wanted.
Yeah, I would say the same. For me, I was just really I started all with a personal problem. I was really passionate about tech, again, non-technical, and then time there was Cambridge Analytica and the GDPR came out, so you could download your data from Facebook, but it was in CSV, right? And a person like me, CSV is like unreadable, and I don't know, I have the Mac, yes, but I can put it on and I can do anything. So we started really saying, okay, the normal people should be able to view it, to understand it. And I think my problem is quite tough because it's really untangible, you know. Can be, okay, I saw the ads, but okay, it's more control, it's more empowerment. Data is mine, I need to change it, I need to check it. I'm curious, you know. I hear about a lot about my data, but I never saw it. So yeah, I think that's a bit the challenge. But I would say sometimes, at least for me, but we are a bad example, right, to really young founders. When you get into an industry, sometimes you don't think out of the box, right, because you're too immersed in something. Maybe you can find a really narrow solution, which is good. In particular, the VCs really like it, you know, if you are experienced, because it's a safety net for them, you know. You worked at a consultancy and all this means that you're okay, good, you have a good network. And then you solve a really specific problem, maybe B2B. Probably you don't create the next unicorn, but you create a good company that can go well. It's a different story than starting a company like I did or Thomas, when we tackling a huge market, 23 years old, extremely complex challenge. Indeed, a lot of people didn't believe in us, you know, like 23 years old. Okay, these guys never raised. I'll check later if they're good enough. And
like there are like no further questions. I think we can end the meeting. Thanks a lot, Guglielmo and Thomas, for coming and like sharing your experience in startups.
Thanks a lot for having us. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to meet you all.